Subscribe here.
Subscribe. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Childcare Director's Chair. I'd like to say thank you for hitting that play button. I know you have lots of choices and lots of podcasts to pick from, so I want to say I appreciate you, and I'd like to give a shout out, as always, to my listeners in Lansing, Michigan, Phoenix, Arizona, Lakeville, Minnesota, and Elkhorn, Wisconsin. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you all so much. And if you didn't know, now you will. If you want to join our community, hop on over to the links down below. You can support our community for as little as $3 a month. It helps us produce our podcast, bring on great new guests, and all kinds of golden nuggets to help you succeed in your childcare business. Today is the last of our episodes in a series with our friend Daniel St. Laurent. I'm waiting for him to go like this. I was waiting for you to do
That's going to be the run-in. Like, people are going to see.
Yeah, for sure.
It's almost like a second guy.
He is from For Your Review. He is a consultant and coach for many different types of businesses, not just childcare. And he really helps people dial down to providing a great customer service journey. And so today we're going to talk about building trust and credibility with your families. We cannot be on the show together anymore. We laugh way too much. In this episode,
elephant tusk.
We will talk about the importance of building trust and credibility with your families at your child care center, and we'll discuss the impact that trust can have on customer loyalty and retention, and ultimately how this can help build you a thriving business. We'll also share some strategies for building trust and credibility with families, such as being transparent and reliable in your communication and services. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Tell me how you say it in the right way.
Daniel Laurent.
Laurent.
Laurent. Not to be confused with Laurent. But, it's sexy. That works too.
Anyway. It's raining here in New England. It's supposed to be spring. It's like, I don't know, freezing. It feels like November. And this is not great weather for New England. So.
No.
So let's talk a little bit about it. How do you feel that educators and school administrators effectively communicate with families can build trust and credibility?
I think it's a fine line of open communication and transparency and not being a hindrance and spamming. And so for me, what I don't like as a parent is when you get constant newsletters and constant automated phone calls and stuff like that. And so I take those things that I don't like personally as the person on the other side and try to put that into operations. And even in knowing that, I know that some people do like that constant, right? Some people don't manage their emails well. I have, since I've been talking to you, I probably have 7 new emails. So I go through all of my emails. Some people that are not like that, a phone call, an automated phone call would be helpful because they didn't check their email because they have 7,000.
Yeah.
So I think in communicating and trying to build trust, you're meeting people where they are, right? And I think going back to what we spoke about before with systems, what does that look like? So a phone call on Monday, an email on Wednesday, a second reminder phone call on Thursday, right? To make sure the family is fully aware of what's happening. Everything from we're having a delayed start tomorrow to we had, a bomb scare, right? Whatever it is, you want to be able to communicate that to the families so that way they're informed. Because the worst thing ever as a parent is you're looking on the news and you see that there was some emergency.
Yeah.
And you're finding out in real time as you're watching the news. And you're like, what? Right? Like, talk about system failures and a lack of trust. Like that just, and what do you say? Oh, we were busy. We didn't, there should be things in place of like lockdown. There should be a thing in place of alert all the blah, blah, blah. Whether we do panic buttons, all that stuff is all important.
It's called an emergency preparedness plan.
True. Yes, unfortunately. And
that's what you need. That's definitely one of those systems you need for sure. And then even before that emergency happens, explaining to the parents the process.
Yeah.
If such and such, this is how we'll communicate with you. There's an emergency, you'll get a text. Then it'll be followed up by XYZ. So you explain.
And the asterisk to that is when you're explaining that, you're asking them what is their current contact information and how best do you want to be contacted.
Mm-hmm.
If you're able, I mean, some people are not able to have preferred whatever. But, if you have a parent's phone number and it's off a digit, what difference does it make? Right? And no one cares at the end of the day when you're like, oh, I thought we called you.
Mm.
So, just having your ducks in a row, I think, is important.
I think, too, when you use a parent portal, it makes it very quick. Mm-hmm. I can send one message and say XYZ happened, and I can text message every parent with the press of one button.
Yeah.
So having those systems in place, that's not what today is about, but having those systems in place for when you need them, again, makes you look like a rock star when you're able to get those things out.
And it doesn't take long to set up in the beginning. I mean, it's tedious, I guess.
Up front, but
then you just hit exactly.
So I totally believe in what you said in terms of communication and regularly. I do think that you do need to communicate with parents regularly, but it may not always be electronically. It could be in person. There's a lot of different ways. And I have come across exactly what you said. There's two parents I can think right off the top of my head. There's one that's like, oh, Miss Erica, you send out so many messages. I never know what ones are important for me to look at. And then I have another parent who's like, oh, I feel like I don't ever know what's going on. Right? So I think the difference is one maybe only uses technology, younger, and maybe the other one maybe uses a variety of ways, is looking for the flyer on the door or the blurb about it in the newsletter, or the message through the email. So that's where knowing your parents makes a lot of difference.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, being transparent and share your policies and procedures with your in your curriculum with the parents so they know what to expect.
And I think utilize your staff, right? So if we're speaking specifically to daycare providers, utilize your staff that you have working for you. So whether they are teachers, whether they are admin support, as each generation, people are, you're not necessarily having a burst of 50-year-olds coming in with 2-year-olds.
Yeah.
Right? So you're probably going to have a 24-year-old, a 28-year-old, a 19-year-old.
Yeah.
They communicate and learn and observe differently than you did, right? And differently than you were taught. And so the best thing is to have eyes and ears on the ground that can tell you in real time. Mm-hmm. It's like if you were walking around, with a dial-up, the net zero dial-up. Remember, like, when you would try to get on it with... right? And if that's your way of getting online, you're using net zero dial-up, right? Like that. So, but if you don't have people around you, like, Erica, are you serious? Are you being funny?
Yeah.
Like, and just making those little adjustments. Or if you're walking around with like the Motorola two-way pagers, right? And everyone says smartphone, and you're like typing in your Excel thing, and you're like, no one's responding to me.
Yeah.
It's just important to utilize because that's valuable information. Back to one of our previous conversations with, parent and groups, right? You're utilizing your staff to be able to help you better communicate and build trust. So.
Yeah. I think also respecting parents' decisions. I think when you respect what they ask you, in regards to their child's care and education. So there are lots of different types of parents, right? And I'm not going to say one way is right or wrong, right? You might have a parent who says, I want my kid to eat lunch in this particular order. And the other one's like, I packed their lunch, let them eat whatever they want out of there, let them graze throughout the day, right? So all parents have different things and requests that they may have from you. So try to respect that as much as possible and to not have judgment, because I do sometimes hear folks that might have some judgment about the way a parents. So you have to.
But so in your opinion, is respecting a parent's decision different than abiding by or agreeing to, or is it one and the same?
I think it depends. So on Monday, there's the solar eclipse is coming. I have some parents asking me, are we closing down? Some schools closed early. Some places aren't closed at all, right? So then you've got some folks who are like, oh, the kids can't come out. Well, we're not going to bring them outside because it is a safety hazard. But I don't know that necessarily means that we're going to shut down.
Operations,
right?
Yeah.
So I think, again, respecting parents' decisions. If they want to keep their child home for safety, absolutely keep
Without
them home.
penalty.
Yeah, without penalty, of course. So I think you have to try to, you have to respect, and then also you may have two parents who parent the same child but aren't in the same household and have very different perspectives on how to do things.
That gets colorful.
Yeah, you try to be as respectful as possible, and I think that when you do that and you don't take sides, you build trust.
Yeah, and you don't want to belittle or if someone's a primary parent, like you don't want to get into any of that stuff. Yeah. It's you stay neutral. What is it, Switzerland? I'm neutral.
Yeah, and and it also helps when you're like providing a safe environment. So when you ensure that the child care center is safe and secure place for children, I think that also helps you with credibility and trust. I know it does. That I don't think, but so. An example is if you find that children keep getting hurt on a piece of playground equipment, you decide that you're going to get rid of that playground equipment, or you're going to make modifications to it to make it safer. Maybe you need different materials underneath. Yeah, there's a variety of things you can do, but being aware of, and then helping correct those problems, I think.
But then that comes from trends, right? We spoke about. Everything literally that we have spoken about, over these episodes are all like intertwined, and they're all, and there's a lot of kind of like redundancy and reiteration. But it's very like there's no getting around it. Yeah. So either A, you're compliant or not. Yeah. So, you either have systems or you don't, and you'll feel the ramifications for not having systems. Yeah. And even if your systems are not great, at least it's something. Something. Yes, better than nothing. And I would say, too, being reliable. I would say that probably in my 25 plus years in the field, being reliable has definitely been one of the things that has helped us grow in terms of our reputation. So an example would be, again, being in New England, we get snow, right? For the most part, we get snow. And in the winter, many programs will just automatically close. If schools close, they close. I don't close for predicted snow. I close for actual snow, and many times I don't close at all. So parents have come accustomed to us being open during snow time. And I say, well, this is New England. Now, we have a parameter. If it's 6 inches or more, then we close. But if it's less than 6 inches, we're open. Do you do delayed starts ever or no?
It depends. I really haven't even done too many delayed openings. I think it's just based on the timing, but yeah, I had one time that we were supposed to get a nor'easter. We woke up, there wasn't even a flake of snow on the ground, so we opened.
That sounds familiar, Erica. A nor'easter.
Yeah, right. There's supposed to be one today, but it's raining. But no, there was no snow. There was not one flick of snow. No, snow did come later in the day around 2:33. So it closed early, but we were there.
Being able to be upset, yeah.
So being reliable, and again, that might be extreme for some folks. What I mean by being reliable is if you say this is what you do, then that's what you do. So we let parents know when they enroll. Like a lot of parents pick us because we're reliable.
So let me ask you the part B to that, or maybe the A, and then the parents would be. So the staff you have working for you, do you tell them that?
Absolutely.
On interview.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Because, for those out there to have staff, that's not something you kind of listen to this podcast and say, I agree with Erica. That's what we're going to do. I think that is something that you have a discussion with your team and you make sure, because it needs to be buy-in.
We will even go a step further. So this has happened on multiple occasions where we said, if you're not comfortable driving in the snow, we will come get you if you would like.
Nice.
So we give them that option. And we have done that. I of course, I have a 4-wheel drive. My general manager at the time also had a 4-wheel drive. But
that works.
again, my point was...
Doesn't hit the same if you drive a Kia.
Yeah. Everybody who comes, they know, right? And there are some folks who chose to stay home teacher-wise.
Yeah.
And that's okay, because
Yeah.
on snow days, lots of kids stay home too.
Yeah,
So,
it balances out.
Yeah, it always balances out. But I have families that work at the hospital. I have families that are... That's right, they don't close. So, and we have a good amount of families that work at the hospital, or the moms or dads are CNAs, or in that medical field, and they don't close, right? Or retail, right? You work at Stop and Shop, they're open and they're busier than ever on a snow day.
Of course they are, because it's the apocalypse and everyone needs their bread and toilet tissue.
But being reliable for sure.
But do you feel like with these nuggets you're giving out that I don't even understand? I don't know if people are understanding the magnitude of the jewels and deliverables you're giving, right? And I'm being sincere when I say it. Do you consider yourself niche in the sense of like the service you're providing? Because a lot of things that you have said over these episodes are very niche. It's very, you're pretty much saying you have a no close policy without saying that, right? And I come from working in a dermatology office where it was a no close policy.
Yeah.
And not all the staff agreed with that, especially when other doctors' offices were closed.
Sure.
You're like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Right? But like to the patients that need to come in for their melanoma screenings, they love that you have a no close policy.
Yeah.
For the parents who are nurses and they're essential workers, they love it.
Mm-hmm.
To the people who are looking to have a snow day.
Yeah. I think it goes back to what we said a long time ago. It depends on the program's values, right? It depends on their whys.
Yeah.
I'm going to be humble and say I don't know that it's all I know is to take care of the folks. Like my whole thing, my whole being is taking care of my people, and my people include my staff, my parents, my children. So I just do that in the way that I know how.
Mama bear.
That's just the way that I know how. Now, again, there's going to be plenty of people who disagree with me, and that's okay.
No.
That's okay, and they can run their business as they see fit. It doesn't mean I don't love my staff or don't care about my staff.
Yeah.
I absolutely care about my staff, and so I give them the choice.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them say, I don't really want to use my PTO for a snow day. I want to use it to go to Hawaii with my family for, in the summer, right? So...
But it's nice. It's nice to have a choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people like choices where they and what I would bet without asking you can answer or not. Maybe don't answer. My bet would be if the staff do come in on a snow day, right? Because you are so grateful for them, you probably provide lunch and buy pizza or buy hot chocolate
we do
and munchkins or whatever.
Yeah. I tell them they don't have to wear the uniforms either. They can wear pajamas or whatever they want on that day.
But it's, because then it makes a person, that small little thing of like, oh my God, this is so nice.
It is all small things. Yeah, it's all the small things. I think too, when you show empathy towards parents and children, that also helps build respect, especially if they're struggling with something.
Yeah.
And, it could be a divorce. It could be a loss of a pet. It could be a lot of things.
Or just life.
Yeah,
inflation.
Just like
their hours got cut, and they're trying to figure out how they're going to continue to be a client.
Yeah. So this is where kind of when we talk about our community, and we love our community. So we really, most of my staff and myself, we live in our neighborhood where we provide care. I don't live up on a hill and then drive down every day. We all live in, So. Again, I don't have a yacht that says daycare boss. I don't have none of that. Okay, so
that's next month.
Next month, folks. What I do have is a big heart, and so I think being empathetic and maybe coming from humble beginnings myself, I think that it helps keep me grounded. So some things that are really important to us, and I think is important as a provider. I don't care what kind of program that you have, is giving back to your community. And so with that, when I go and think about empathy, like we'll do things like we do the food program where we will collect food and do a food drive. we will then, yes, give to our local food drive place, depending. Sometimes it's the bank, sometimes it's a local church. But also, if we know we have a family that's struggling, we will very low
Directly
say, hey,
I love that.
we've got these things, right?
Which is tricky because you don't want people feeling like charity.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
And so
I want to let people keep their pride and all of that. So it's like, hey, we've got these abundance of things if you're interested or whatever.
I love that.
Same thing with the Toys for Tots. We love the Toys for Tots. We do that every year. And what I loved about it is that it showed our students to also be gracious and empathetic for those who had less than. So I think that when you come in and I talk with families and I say, listen, here's what we do for academics. But I believe that being a good person is equally important. And so those are things that we value here. And if that sounds good, I tell people we celebrate holidays. We give hugs. We sometimes do cupcakes. But not every program does because they'll celebrate no holidays.
Because they don't want
to offend. Right. So I let people know we do celebrate holidays.
How do you pick the holidays though?
I'll do all of them.
Do you do major?
I do it.
You don't do Groundhog Day.
Yes, we do. Of course we do.
You're closed?
No, but we celebrate.
Oh, okay.
We celebrate it. We celebrate it with the kids. We do fun.
I mean, no disrespect to the groundhogs out there.
We do fun activities. We do fun activities around Groundhog Day.
Okay.
My point being is that I think it's important for us to be role models for our students and be good stewards. And I'm not being preachy. I'm just saying, I think that when you are talking about credibility and trust, when you align yourself with people who have similar values. And so that's how you pick a center, right? We talk about our core values, but that's how a family is going to pick as well.
Yeah.
They're going to pick based on if that's important to them. There are some folks that having all vegan food, prepared farm to table, that kind of thing, at their center is important to them. I probably wouldn't be the right fit because we don't have that option in our school, right?
And that's okay.
And
because there is an option for
for everyone.
And I know that you made the statement, and I kind of made a statement before, right? And so without getting into the weeds of it, but I will equate it just because the climate that we're in. Some people are one issue voters, right? Whatever that thing is what you then vote down. And so if family is important to you and feeling like when you walk in, it's a family, that might be your one thing. If it's structure, right? And going to the extreme level, maybe you came from like a military family where like you woke up in the morning, you immediately made your bed before you washed your face and, and you tucked it tight. And if you walked in and you saw things running like a super tight ship and you're like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. Yeah. That might be your thing. Yeah. If you're a foodie and you walk in and you smell like, homemade spaghetti sauce, and you're like, la la, hopefully the microphone didn't peak. I think it did. But that thing resonates with you. And I think all of us inherently want to find our tribe. Yeah. Now, there's different ways in which you then do that, right? You can find your tribe without being disrespectful to others. Yeah, of course. But we all, you walk in a room and you're like, oh, they look like who I went to high school with. They like hip hop music. So that's what happens. So interesting you should say that, because many people tell us the reason they pick our program is because of the diversity they see in our school. And we're in Warwick. So it's somewhat diverse, but not richly diverse. But we are very diverse at our program. And people will tell me, yeah, I picked the school because of that. Now, we didn't intentionally say, hey. That's what I was going to ask. You weren't intentional about that? It just happened that way? Of course. The families enroll where they want to enroll. And I think the more that they saw that, the more it attracted. Because your values then. So it goes back to the values. Yeah. Maybe even our logo. Our logo, which was very intentional, which was created almost 20 years ago. It's many different nationalities represented in our logo of the children. So yeah, it was important. I think the underlying message for each of these conversations, you have to define what your core values are. and do not attach it to a paycheck, right? Your core values are what they are, and it may mean that you take a loss. It may mean you struggle for a bit, but your core values have to matter, and they have to be. And that's not to say your core values can't shift a little bit.
Sure, as you grow, you grow as a professional, they'll
but
yeah,
it has to be defined, or else like you're literally, I mean, you're just in the middle of the ocean, just like figuring out.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah. And also I think another way to build credibility with your parents is celebrating children's achievements. You know, they're recognizing their milestones and celebrating that with families, because, you know, sometimes families feel like they miss out on a lot, right? Your child may take their first steps at our school. And so making a big deal about that really matters to the parents, and it helps build that trust that you really care about their child.
Now, how do you, so I'll put up a scenario. So the first steps ever in a child's life they take in your facility, do you videotape it? Oh, I was just being, okay. And so
here's the other thing. Because my daughter took her first steps in daycare. Okay. I thought I saw her first steps. Now, this is before video. I thought I saw her first steps. And so I was so excited when she took her first steps that, I told her teachers, and they said, "Oh my God, that's great." And they didn't tell me right away, because they didn't want me to feel bad that I missed it. They didn't tell me right away. And they just said, "Well, we thought she was going to do it soon," because she had been, pulling herself up and, attempting, but they didn't want to take that away from me.
Yeah.
So, be careful on how you do that. But, record it for them nonetheless. And once they've made that announcement that the child's walking, you can say, "Oh, yes, that's awesome. I noticed that too. I caught it on camera for you."
Active listening
for sure. And providing resources when parents are struggling is another thing that really helps with your credibility and shows you as a professional. Sometimes families are displaced. I've had a family recently that housing is a real challenge here in our state, and so they lost their housing and needed some resources. And so having resources are really important and really show that you are truly the professional that you are.
Now, what about, because it's absolutely a real thing, what about substance abuse and things of that nature? Like, has that come up in your space?
At the Childcare Center, it hasn't. But if somebody needed support or help, I would immediately get on the phone and make some calls and find the right folks to connect them with. We do have, on the flip side of that, we do have a great deal of children that are in the foster care system that come to our program that have dealt with trauma and abuse and that. So several of my staff actually are foster care parents, if that tells you the type of people that we work with here.
But you didn't intentionally find them.
No, because people, they gravitate, right? Birds of a feather flock together.
I guess, for better or for worse.
Yeah, so,
I know some bad birds. Daniel.
Oh, you're so simple. So silly. Anyway, so
that's unbelievable though. You're interesting. I think you do a lot of just kind of brushing things and doing glossing, which I appreciate, right? Because we're in a world where it's me, Daniel, right? But you're very intentional with the things you are doing, and it's just like magical stuff that's happening that other people are struggling with, and like you're making it look like seamless and easy, and it's very you're interesting. You're interesting.
Thank you.
Very okay.
Well, I appreciate that. I just think it is who I am. Thank you. You're gonna make me blush. All right. So before we wrap up,
I made you cry before.
You have made me cry before.
Let's do it again.
No,
I won't make you cry.
Let's not. So anyway, so those are some of the reasons why you really need to make sure that you're building trust with your parents.
Yeah.
That helps you with retention. As Daniel said, all of these things are interconnected. If you haven't checked out the other episodes that Daniel was on, I recommend that you go back and listen to those episodes. You're going to be able to see us live, well, not live, but recorded on our YouTube channel. If you've never been to our YouTube channel, it's the same name, Childcare Directors Chair. It doesn't have the word podcast on it, but I think we'll probably add that on there. But Childcare Directors Chair on YouTube. Please give us a like, follow, subscribe, comment, whatever you feel in your heart to do. I appreciate you guys tuning in every single day. I know these episodes have been much longer than what we normally do, and we appreciate you hanging in there with us. And again, if you need any help and you're looking for someone to come out to your childcare business and well, he says he travels, but if you want to contact Daniel, why don't you give me your contact info?
Daniel Laurent. So Daniel Laurent, you can email me, dlselfmade@gmail.com. I have my other email too, but it's just longer. So just for the sake of that. Also, I'm on Instagram, Daniel Laurent, SME. And yeah, so, the clothing Black Dollar US, that's my brand. So if you go on there, you can contact me. And I'm on YouTube also. And yeah, I just banked. But, I'm around. And so anyone that's in Hawaii is looking for, I don't know if I travel to Antarctica, but if you're in Hawaii, send me a message. Yeah. And, thank you so much. I always wanted to can I do subscribe here?
Yeah.
And the thing pops up.
You can do it.
It's gonna be down here. I'm gonna look goofy. Subscribe here, guys.
Well,
but yeah.
Yeah. So as you can tell, Daniel is a lot of fun. It's not like working with the stuffy coach. He keeps it real. And so that's why we always enjoy having him come on our show. Thank you again for tuning into the Child Care Director's Chair. And remember that it's the small details that make the big impact in your child care business. So thank you for tuning in. Have a great day. Bye.
Subscribe here.
Subscribe.